Hi everyone! Today we're diving into something both universal and deeply personal, love in crisis. Because even though we all dream of a perfect relationship, real love often feels like a negotiation between heaven and chaos. So let's talk about the life cycle of a relationship. Every relationship goes through stages, from the excitement of early attraction to the challenges of long-term commitment. At first, everything feels electric. You text constantly, laugh over nothing, and believe you've finally found the one. But as time goes on, something changes. Routines form, tension builds, and reality quietly replaces fantasy. Psychologists call this process the development and dissolution model. Relationships form, maintain, and sometimes fall apart. Think of it like seasons. Spring brings romance, summer brings stability, autumn brings doubt, and winter can bring endings or rebirth. See the example in the movie La La Land. Mia and Sebastian start in that magical spring of passion. But as their dreams pull them in different directions, their connection fades into autumn. Love doesn't always die from hate. Sometimes it's just outgrown by life itself. So, how to maintain intimacy? That is the daily work of love. In real relationships, love is less about fireworks and more about maintenance. Communication scholars call this relational maintenance. The actions we take to keep a relationship in a desired state. There are two types. The first is called routine maintenance, like texting good morning, cooking together, and remembering small details. Strategic maintenance, the effortful acts when something feels off, apologizing after a fight, planning a surprise, or having that heart we need to talk conversation. Relationships often fail not because of huge betrayals, but because couples stop doing the small things. Love erodes silently, like a house that isn't cleaned. It collapses slowly under neglect. And here's another movie example in Marriage Story. Charlie and Nicole still care about each other, but they stopped maintaining emotional closeness. What once felt like teamwork turns into distance, and then resentment. So how do we cope with tension, you would ask? That is the push and pull of love. Even in healthy relationships, tension never disappears. According to Relational Dialectics theory, every couple navigates ongoing contradictions like breathing in and out, like autonomy versus connection, openness versus privacy, predictability versus novelty. And the key lesson here is that love isn't about eliminating tension, it's about negotiating it. Relationships thrive not on perfect agreement, but on continuous adjustment. If we look deeper, we probably would find that romance, or the essence of romance, is about infatuation. Sometimes what we call love is actually infatuation. It is intense attraction without real understanding. It's thrilling but short-lived. You don't love the person, you love the feeling. Infatuation often sets the stage for betrayal, when one person realizes they were chasing the idea of love, not the reality. In Titanic, Jack and Rose's love burns bright, but is built in crisis, not sustainability. Infatuation can feel pure, but it often fades when daily life replaces adrenaline. And attachment theory helps explain why some people handle this better than others. Some people are of secure attachment, which are the people who see conflict as manageable. And people of anxious attachment fear abandonment and overreact at distance. And of course, there are also the type of avoidant who shut down when things get too emotional. Your attachment style isn't destiny, but it shapes how you interpret love's highs and lows. And sometimes there's this big element in love maintenance, which is called faith rights. When love becomes about ego, sometimes love hurts not because of betrayal, but because of our faith, our social image feels threatened. In communication, phase refers to the positive value we claim for ourselves. There are two kinds. Positive phase, the desire to be liked, valued, and respected, and also the negative phase, the desire for autonomy and freedom. A face-threatening act, or you can call it FTA, can be as small as a harsh comment or a controlling demand. For example, that idea is stupid, hurts positive phase. You have to do this, hurts negative phase. In relationships, learning politeness strategies, softening criticism, asking rather than commanding is very crucial. It's not about sugarcoating, it's about preserving each other's dignity. In the notebook, Noah and Allie fight constantly, but they still honor each other's feelings. Their love survives because even in anger, they respect each other's faith. And of course, sometimes love doesn't survive. So how should relationships end elegantly? The end doesn't have to be destruction. It can be transformation. Communication scholars Koine, Callas, and Manusov found that people heal faster when they create a coherent narrative about the breakup, a story with a beginning, middle, and end. When we tell ourselves, it didn't work because we grew in different directions, instead of, I failed, we rebuild our self-esteem. Psychologists Tashilo and Frazier also found that people who focus on situational factors rather than personal flaws recover faster. In the movie Eat, Pray, Love, Elizabeth Gilbert reframes her divorce not as a failure, but as a rebirth. And in Chinese, we usually say, 做人留一线，日后好相见. That means leave some room for others so you can meet again in the future. Ending gracefully is an art. Love doesn't always need closure. Sometimes it needs compassion. But it doesn't always end the way that we want it to be. Sometimes after the breakups, people can't let it go. This is known as obsessive relational intrusion, repeated unwanted contact or attempts to control someone's life. That is when love turns into obsession. Here are some examples. Constant texting or stalking social media, following someone to their workplace, invading privacy like checking their phone, using guilt or emotional blackmail. If you leave me, I will hurt myself, stuff like that. In the Netflix show You, Joey's love turns into control and surveillance, a dark reminder that obsession is not affection. Healthy love is based on choice. Obsession, however, is about control. Knowing the difference is what keeps love human. So how do we move on after love in crisis or after breakups? By learning to communicate better, respect boundaries, and understand our own patterns, we can heal, grow, and move forward. Love isn't a fixed emotion, it is a practice. It's about showing up again and again with patience, self-awareness, and a willingness to grow. In past lives, Nora and Haesung meet years after drifting apart. There's no anger, only quiet recognition. Love doesn't always end in togetherness. Sometimes it ends in peace. So, what we have learned is that love will always involve risk, but it is also our greatest teacher. Every heartbreak makes us a little more human, a little more aware of what it means to connect. So the next time your relationship hits a crisis, don't just ask, what went wrong? Ask, what is this trying to teach me about love?